Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we got to talk about a surprising story, and if you put context to it, it's not that much very surprising. But Mike Castle, former governor of Delaware, sadly passed away. And no, this is not Mike Castle, the figure right here. This is the American actor. How many people do we know that have the name Mike Castle? I'm just saying. But Mike Castle has been a legend in Delaware, and he's been considered the last prominent figure to keep Delaware red. Now, being Delaware, this guy, you can imagine, is pretty liberal, and he is. This guy has been a champion for abortion rights, or quote unquote abortion rights, pro-choice, and gun control along with same-sex marriage. He's pretty much friends with very close ties and friends with the New Jersey, well, not the former New Jersey governor, Christine Whitman, I want to believe that's her name, but yes, who is also a rhino. But we're going to talk about Mike Castle today. He does have a pretty long electoral history, and the good news is there are pretty much it's going to be kind of easy to talk about because 3 counties means not much to talk about in Delaware, and we should all know the 3 counties of Delaware. There's zero excuses of not knowing them. Pretty easy. You got Newcastle, you got Kent, and you got Sussex. That's all there are. Okay? And I guess we don't need to make that an educating thing. Like, we don't have to tell the world about it. But it should be pretty easy. So let's go ahead and start with the electoral history. 1980. I would imagine this guy ran for the Republican primary. He won the primary, obviously. Is there a primary thing on there? No, there isn't. Okay? But let's go ahead and he runs for lieutenant governor, 1980. Right here. Yes. And he wins, obviously, carrying every county. Now, he carries Newcastle County by 59.2%, Kent County by 56.7%, and Sussex County by 58.4%. Defeating Thomas B. Sharp, the Democratic nominee. Now, it's important to also note that Delaware, no surprise, is more conservative back in 1980. It did vote for Ronald Reagan by a lot. Well, actually, no, not really. I mean, it was somewhat competitive with Jimmy Carter, mainly because Jimmy Carter was Southern. And Delaware, believe it or not, is considered a state geographically a part of the South. Because of that, yeah, sure, it's above the Mason-Dixon line. Is the Mason-Dixon line, okay. Because I'm thinking, is that line, okay, yeah, I thought that line was the border with Delaware. No, the border with Tennessee and Alabama. That was the Mason-Dixon line, but yeah, yeah, sure, it's the Mason-Dixon line, although this diagram says the Mason-Dixon line is pretty much above Pennsylvania. It goes down. A lot of people say, you know what, the line curves up and goes to the Delaware River. Therefore, it put Delaware in the South. Not to mention, a lot of people just think Delaware is a border state in the Civil War. It's been a state that voted against Abraham Lincoln, by the way, twice. So it's historically Southern. But no surprise here, Michael N. Castle. Mike Castle is the winner of this said election, carrying every county. He runs for governor now, which honestly is an interesting move. He doesn't run for re-election. Then again, and I think he knows by the premises of his popularity that he can make that decision. Now, I'm going to make a bold decision now, and I am going to go in 1984. There we go. Yeah. And you'll see clearly he wins re-election. He's defeated William T. Quillen, basically with the same results. He's carried all three of the counties. Okay, this is a very weird diagram, but Kent. No, Kent's right here. Newcastle and Sussex. You should also know where they're located also. But he wins them pretty handily. Very bad diagram. But I also want to see if there was a primary. I don't think there was a primary. I think Mike Castle was nominated at the state RNC, which would make more sense. But going onward, you'll see that Mike Castle is reelected governor, and he's going to be reelected in his biggest win in his career. He's going to win by 70%. He wins Newcastle County by 70%, which is unheard of today, right? Newcastle County is a Democratic stronghold influenced by the suburbs of Philadelphia. You also got Sussex County going in for 70%, and Kent County going into 60%. So he wipes out Jacob Crenchtool by 70%. Crenchtool only gets 29% of the popular vote. This is not a good... And Crenchtool is just a labor lawyer, and this is not good for Jacob Crenchtool. Not good result. And there is no primary, again. Unless we are missing something. Let's go down to Republican primary. I think they start doing their primaries in 2004. I could AI search it, but I'm not going to do that due to time purposes. Guess what? Tom Carper runs because Mike Castle says, no, I'm not going to run for re-election. In fact, I'm going to downgrade myself and I'm going to run for the United States House of Representatives, which is a very interesting move if you think about that. When does a governor run for the United States House of Representatives? Usually governors run for the Senate. So that's a very interesting move. But due to his popularity and recognition as the governor for 8 years, Mike Castle is going to pull this off, okay? And we're just going to take a little trip in the 1990 election, go to the Delaware election, although there is, let's see here. Okay, yeah, Tom Carper. So they switch sides, actually. Tom Carper runs for governor. Mike Castle runs for Tom Carper's seat. So this is a Republican gain. Mike Castle picks this one up. See if there's actually a page. 1992, United States. Well, they have all these pages on the other states. Okay. Unfortunately, they don't. Or we can take a trip all the way over here. But yes, there's no surprise. Oh, there we go. So we'll get back on page in 2006. But House of Representatives. We do not have House of Representatives races. Shoot. So let's just start here. So yes, 1992. Mike Castle, 55%, beating SB Wu, 42%. Now, hang on here. This continues to prove my point. This is a federal race, not a state race. So, ideally, the alignment's going to be more aligned with Delaware's political position. And also keep in mind, this was on a presidential year. So Bill Clinton gave some cocktail effects to SB Wu. And as we can clearly see, although Delaware was somewhat moderate still, it did go to Bill Clinton handily by a solid margin. Mike Castle was still a good relative name, and he did pull off the win. Okay, but you can clearly see that other than being in a presidential year, this was a federal race, which meant that just like in presidential elections, Delaware was going to be more aligned as a swing state, or more of a status quo where both parties have somewhat of a chance. That's why I'm like, Mike Castle, why don't you go for senator? Or maybe he had some sort of deal with Tom Carper where, Carper won the governorship. And I would be surprised if Mike Castle actually endorsed Carper. I mean, like, seriously, these two are friends? I think Mike Castle openly voted for Carper. And that would have helped him in his, I voted for Carper. I'm a bipartisan supporter. I don't hold grudges. Blah, 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 blah. The same bipartisan, big politician talking points. But you got here, it's starting to bounce back to where it was, okay? Mike Castle, this is a part of the Republican Revolution, 70.74%. The very good win here. Oh, look, Carol Ann DeSantis. I don't know if she's related to Ron DeSantis, but it looks like she's a Democrat. But yes, he defeats DeSantis, who is not Ron DeSantis, obviously. He's probably, I don't know. He's probably too young. But yes, and by a landslide. Therefore, Mike Castle had to have carried every county. I don't understand in which universe he wouldn't have. And he technically does a bit better. This is his best performance since 1988. His best statewide performance, he does 0.1% better, having performed 0.73% in the governor's race. And so, just 70.74% in 1994. So, thought that was interesting. He runs for re-election. He successfully wins against Dennis E. Williams, who only gets 27%. Then again, you got some candidates taking some votes away. You got the Libertarian, you got the Constitution Party, which was taken away from Mike Castle. I wouldn't say they were taken away from Mike Castle, though. Constitution Party does not like Mike Castle. So you got the more conservatives. They're rallying around Felicia Johnson. But Castle still wins by around 70%, 69.55%. His support didn't really go down much. So this was, of course, a Republican hold. Mike Castle is reelected in 1998 for the said same seat. And I'm going to check again if there are House races for Republican primary. No, there aren't. Always want to check, but we'll check again onto that 2006. But yeah, Mike Castle, 66% against Dennis E. Williams. Pretty good landslide. You also have the Constitution Party, which has started to be participating in these elections since 1996. I want to believe, is the Constitution Party founded 1990? Okay, so now 6 years later, in 1996, we're now running in state elections. Statewide races, at least. All right, you got 1998, Dennis E. Williams runs again for this seat. It doesn't go well for him at all. And although he does slightly better, 31%, against Castle. Castle with 66.36%. All right. 2000, Mike Castle is the winner again, 67.64%. He has to be carrying every county. There is absolutely no way he's not carrying every county. against Michael C. Miller, who underperformed Williams' numbers a little bit, who just got 30.81% of the popular vote. But just like that, 2002, red wave year, Mike Castle, 72%. This is his best performance so far. 72%. This is his best performance. Very good performance for him. Mike Castle, he gets over 100,000 votes. This is very good against Michael C. Miller, who underperformed massively. Part of the reason you could say that, Mike Castle overperformed was Constitution didn't run a candidate. Perhaps those more conservatives will back Brad C. Thomas, but Thomas only got 0.98%, interestingly enough. So this was a big win for Mike Castle, 72%. This is his biggest win in his electoral career. Then you get 2004. Castle, of course, wins re-election, 69% of the popular vote. Paul Donnelly loses with 29% of the popular vote. He's the Democrat. And also you got two new parties. You got the Independent Party of Delaware, which is some more center-right, more conservative, you can imagine, compared to Mike Castle. They ran Maurice J. Boros, and you got the Libertarian, who's been present in the game so far, with William E. Morris. But however, they together picked up like about a percentage point and a half, it looks like, of the vote. Didn't really hurt Castle that much. It may have hurted Paul Donnelly a little bit if you're looking at the numbers a bit. You got 2006, Delaware's at-large congressional district. And then out of the sudden, this is his lowest performance yet. Why? Oh, we know why. Because it was a blue wave year, right? Blue wave year, because, of course, the Democrats were revolting because of the Bush administration's war in Iraq. Afghanistan, too, had some sort of problems. And just leadership in general. Bush was very unpopular, and as a result, the Republican Party is, of course, crumbling. In 2006, I was alive for it, but I was glad I was not consciously following it because I was 2 years old. But yeah, it would have been devastating. It would be a big coping moment. But yes, I know it was a cope for Mike Castle because he enjoyed those landslide wins, but now 57%, that's somewhat of a divisive number. It's 7 points above water, and you'll be like, that's good in the context of like a Pennsylvania or a Michigan. But when you are performing that good in a blue state, like 70, almost 80% of most of the time, it must be hard. But yes, there was a primary. Congressman Castle faced no opposition in the Republican Party primary during this time. Believe it or not, Libertarians didn't run a candidate. Michael Berg, the Green Party candidate, ran, and that probably took votes from Dennis Spivak, whatever his name is. And in 2008, he made somewhat of a comeback, pretty good, since it was an election year this year. You had 2008, you got people, liberals voting for Barack Obama, and you can see that Mike Castle is the winner, but he did 61%. But I think he knows that this is going to be his last performance. Mike Castle never lost an election. And that's something that he should be proud of. He decides not to run for re-election. And that's how John Carney ends up becoming the next congressman when he is elected in 2010. But yeah, I think, and then you got some competitive primaries. I think the Republicans were very happy to have Mike Castle gone. But anyway, he is a Delaware legend. Despite disagreeing with him on everything, he's an establishment rhino, anti-Trump, and Democrat Party voter, voted against Trump all 3 times for the Democrat Party. You might as well join Go-Off Duncan in the Democrat Party, but he is sadly deceased. And he was only 86. It's not like he was 98 or something, but a tragedy is a tragedy. We mourn the loss of Mike Castle, the former governor of Delaware. He is a respectable figure in Delaware, despite being a blue state, mainly because of his bipartisanship and his more liberal leanings, more centrist, moderate leanings. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.